The village slept beneath a skin of frost. Snow pressed against the roofs like folded linen. The moon hung low and pale, trapped behind thin cloud. Ilara walked the old path again, boots crunching softly. Cold bit through her shawl and into her ribs. Her breath lifted in white streams that vanished at once. At the edge of the clearing, the stone wolf waited. It always waited. Carved centuries ago, the statue crouched on a flat slab of rock. Its muzzle stretched forward as if scenting prey. Its eyes, hollow and shadowed, reflected moonlight like dull glass. Ice gathered in the grooves of its fur, outlining every chisel mark. Ilara placed her lantern on the ground. The flame trembled, bending away from the statue. She rubbed her hands together until feeling returned. The forest stood unnaturally still. No owls called. No branches creaked. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. She stepped closer, boots sinking into old snow. The smell of frozen earth and stone filled her nose. She reached out and touched the wolf's paw. The stone felt colder than the air, sharp and dry. Her skin stung where she touched it. She spoke anyway. She always spoke. She told the wolf about her day. She told it about the market and the cracked grain sacks. She told it about her mother's cough and the way it worsened at night. Her voice echoed softly, swallowed by trees and snow. The statue never answered. That was the rule. Tonight felt different. The cold pressed harder, heavier. Her ears rang faintly, as if pressure built inside her skull. The lantern flame thinned to a blue thread. Ilara laughed once, quietly, to break the feeling. The sound felt wrong, like a stone dropped into deep water. She leaned closer to the wolf's face. Its mouth stood open just enough to show carved teeth. Snow had melted inside the mouth, leaving a dark hollow. She whispered her last words of the night. Questions she never asked before. She asked if anyone listened. The forest answered with silence. Then the stone beneath her fingers warmed. Not much. Just enough for her to feel the change. She froze. Her breath stopped halfway out. The warmth spread slowly, like blood returning to numb skin. Her hand jerked back, heart hammering. The statue remained still. She told herself that stone held heat sometimes. She told herself fear sharpened sensation. The ground vibrated once, shallow and brief. Snow slid from a nearby branch without wind. The lantern flame bent sharply toward the wolf. A sound rose from inside the statue. Low, bluff, like rock dragged across ice. Ilara staggered back, boots slipping. Her pulse thundered in her ears. The wolf's stone chest shifted. Snow cracked and fell from its shoulders. The hollow eyes deepened, shadows moving inside them. The sound came again, clearer now. Carried breath. Warm breath. Steam pushed from between the stone teeth. The smell of wet stone and iron filled the air. Ilara tried to speak. Her tongue felt thick and useless. The wolf's head moved. Just a finger's width. Stone scraped against stone with a scream that cut through the clearing. The sound echoed far into the trees. The wolf's eyes caught the lantern light and held it. Not reflected. Held. Something ancient shifted behind them, watching her. The mouth opened wider. Cracks raced along the jaw like lightning through marble. A voice pressed outward from inside the stone, slow and heavy, shaping her name for the first time since the mountain learned how to remember. The sound of her name settled into the clearing like falling ash. did not echo, did not fade, stayed. Ilara felt it vibrate inside her bones. Her knees weakened, yet she remained standing. Snow creaked beneath her weight as if the ground listened too. The wolf's jaw continued to open, stone splitting along old seams filled with frost. Inside the mouth, darkness moved in slow layers. It did not look empty anymore. It looked deep. The lantern flickered wildly, throwing warped shadows across the clearing. Those shadows stretched and twisted, climbing the trees like reaching hands. Ilara tasted metal on her tongue. Her ears rang harder, drowning her thoughts. The voice spoke again. This time it did not say her name. It breathed first. The breath rolled out thick and warm, fogging the air before her face. Snow beneath the wolf darkened and sank as heat pressed into it. Ilara stepped back, heel catching on a frozen root. She stumbled but did not fall. Her fingers scraped bark as she steadied herself. The tree felt alive beneath her touch, pulsing faintly. The forest was no longer still. It leaned inward. Branches bowed. Trunks angled closer. Every surface seemed to listen. The wolf's chest rose. Stone fur flexed as if muscles strained beneath it. Cracks widened, glowing faintly with dull red light. Not fire. Something older. Something deeper. The voice shaped words slowly, as if unused to sound. Each syllable dragged across stone and air. It spoke of nights. Spoke of watching. It spoke of footsteps and breath and warmth passing before it again and again. Ilara pressed her back against the tree, heart pounding. Her breath came shallow and fast. Her mind screamed to run. Her legs refused to move. The wolf shifted one foreleg. Stone scraped across rock with a noise like breaking teeth. The ground shook harder this time. Snow slid from every branch at once, hissing as it fell. Ilara flinched as cold powder struck her face and eyes. She wiped blindly, skin burning. When she looked again, the wolf was closer. It should not have been. The slab beneath it remained in place. Yet the distance between them had shrunk. The space itself felt compressed. The wolf's eyes focused on her fully now. They no longer looked hollow. They looked aware. They looked hungry. Not for flesh. For sound. For presence. For her. The voice told her that she had fed it. Night after night. Word after word. Her stories had seeped into the cracks. Her breath had warmed frozen memory. Her fear now poured into it like rain into dry stone. Ilara shook her head, tears freezing on her lashes. She tried to deny it. She tried to speak reason aloud. Her voice came out thin and small. The wolf listened closely. Its head tilted, joints grinding. The red glow pulsed brighter. The air grew heavy, pressing down on her chest. Each breath took effort. The smell of iron deepened, mixing with wet moss and old snow. The forest floor beneath her boots softened. Ice melted into dark mud that clung and pulled. She tried to lift one foot. Came free with a sucking sound. The wolf stepped forward again. This time the slab cracked. A sound like distant thunder rolled through the ground. The mountain beyond the trees answered with a low groan. Ilara screamed then. The sound tore from her throat raw and sharp. It did not travel far. It sank straight into the wolf's open mouth. The creature shuddered. Stone plates along its neck shifted and settled. The voice grew stronger, smoother. It spoke of winter binding it. It spoke of warmth waking it. It spoke of a promise carved long ago beneath roots and bone. Ilara felt something tug inside her chest. Not her heart. Something deeper. Something tied to breath and memory. Her lantern went out. Darkness rushed in, thick and complete. Only the red glow remained, washing the clearing in dim pulses. The wolf loomed before her now, towering. Stone claws sank into thawing earth. Each movement carried weight that pressed into her spine. The voice lowered. It spoke close to her face. She felt the words brush her skin like breath. It told her the village had forgotten. It told her the forest remembered. It told her that speaking was never harmless. Ilara felt the ground tilt. The tree behind her cracked, bark splitting as roots tore free. She fell to her knees in wet snow and mud. Cold soaked through her clothes. Her hands sank into slush that steamed faintly. She looked up. The wolf bent its head low. Cracks ran across its skull like veins. From within those cracks, faint shapes moved. Faces, not carved, pressed, as if trapped just beneath the surface. She recognized one. Her breath caught painfully. The voice softened when it spoke again. It told her she had always listened. It told her listening changed things. The forest creaked as if leaning closer still. Snow continued to melt in widening circles. Steam rose, wrapping around her like a shroud. The wolf drew closer until its shadow swallowed her entirely. Stone breath washed over her face, warm and damp. The voice lowered to a whisper that filled her skull. It asked her to speak again. The earth trembled beneath her knees as the red glow brightened, spreading into the cracks of the ground, threading outward through roots and stone, while deep beneath the forest something vast shifted awake and turned its attention fully toward the sound of her breathing. Ilara pressed her lips together, teeth chattering despite the spreading heat. The wolf waited. Its patience felt endless and crushing. The red glow pulsed in rhythm with her breath, as if the forest itself counted each inhale. Her chest tightened when she realized the light brightened when she breathed faster. She forced herself to slow. The air tasted thick, heavy with damp stone and something older than decay. The whisper inside her skull lingered, not fading, not repeating, only waiting. Snow no longer fell. It hovered in the air, suspended like frozen ash. Time stretched thin and fragile. Ilara swallowed and felt the movement echo painfully in her throat. Her voice emerged rough and low. She spoke a single word. The ground answered. Roots surged beneath the mud, shifting like buried serpents. The wolf inhaled deeply. Stone chest expanding farther than before. Cracks split wider along its ribs, revealing darkness threaded with dull red veins. From within that darkness came movement. Not smooth. Not natural. Something folded and unfolded as if learning shape. Ilara felt pressure behind her eyes. Images forced themselves into her mind. Hands carving stone by torchlight. Blood freezing on chisels. Voices chanting until throats bled raw. A promise spoken into the mountain itself. Her stomach twisted as understanding crept in. The statue was never meant to remain silent. It was meant to listen. She felt something pull again inside her chest. Stronger now. Her breath hitched painfully. The wolf lowered its head until its cracked muzzle hovered inches from her face. Heat radiated from it, soaking into her skin. Sweat broke across her back despite the winter air. Its eyes shifted, reflections rippling like deep water disturbed by movement below. The faces beneath the stone surface pressed closer. Mouths opened soundlessly, eyes rolled wide and white. Ilara recognized more of them now. Old neighbors, missing travelers, a child whose name still echoed in village prayers. Her stomach lurched. She tried to look away. The wolf moved its head slightly, forcing her gaze back. The voice hardened, spoke of balance. It spoke of cold ceiling doors that should remain open. It spoke of warmth as an invitation. The forest groaned louder. Trees bent at impossible angles, bark splitting as if strained from within. Steam poured from the ground in thick sheets. The snow suspended in the air began to melt without falling. Droplets hovered, trembling. Ilara felt her pulse in her fingertips. Each beat sent pain shooting up her arms. Her hands glowed faintly, skin flushed and hot. The wolf watched this closely. Its breath quickened, rough stone grinding with each inhale. The red light surged outward, racing along roots and rock. Somewhere far beneath them, stone cracked. A deep sound rolled up through the earth, slow and vast. Ilara screamed again, though the sound barely escaped her throat. The pressure crushed it flat. The wolf lifted one claw and placed it gently against her chest. The touch burned, not like fire, like friction, like being rubbed raw from the inside. Her vision blurred. Memories surfaced unbidden. Her first night in the clearing. Her words falling into silence. The comfort she felt speaking into something that never answered. The wolf pressed harder. Her breath came shallow. The voice spoke calmly now. It told her she had opened the path. It told her that paths demanded walking. The claw withdrew. The pressure remained. Ilara gasped, air rushing back in painfully. The forest shifted again. The clearing expanded, trees sliding back as if making room. The slab beneath the wolf split fully, sinking into the earth. Stone folded inward, revealing a descending hollow beneath. Heat poured out of it in waves. The smell changed. Not decay. Not earth. Something mineral and raw, like the inside of the mountain exposed. The wolf stepped aside. Its massive form scraped against air and stone. The hollow yawned wider. Red light throbbed from below, pulsing like a living heart. Ilara felt drawn toward it, feet sliding across wet ground. She dug her fingers into mud and roots. They loosened at her touch, slipping free. The voice urged softly now. It spoke of voices waiting. It spoke of stories unfinished. It spoke of hunger that listening alone could never satisfy. Her ears rang until sound blurred into vibration. The forest leaned in so close she felt bark brush her shoulders. Steam wrapped around her, warm and suffocating. The snow was gone now. Only water remained, dripping from branches and stone. The wolf watched, unmoving, eyes burning steadily. Ilara felt something shift behind her ribs, a sensation like doors opening inward. Her breath echoed strangely, layered, as if another breath moved with it. The voice whispered approval. Deep below, something vast shifted again, stretching, turning, aligning itself with the sound of her heartbeat as the red light surged brighter and the hollow beneath the clearing widened further, pulling air, heat, and the promise of countless waiting voices upward toward her trembling form. Ilara clutched at her chest, fingers digging into fabric that felt suddenly thin and useless. The second breath inside her moved again. It followed her rhythm, then slowly slipped out of sync. Her lungs burned as if they no longer belonged fully to her. The hollow beneath the clearing widened with a grinding moan. Stone peeled back like skin from a wound. Heat rolled upward in thick waves that blurred the air. The red light intensified, no longer pulsing gently. It throbbed with purpose. The forest floor trembled continuously now, a deep vibration that numbed her knees. Roots withdrew from the edges of the hollow, retreating as if afraid. Others stretched downward, thin and desperate, drawn toward the glow. The wolf stepped closer to the opening. Its massive form cast a jagged shadow that twisted unnaturally across the clearing. Cracks raced along its legs, shedding fragments of stone that hissed when they struck the hot earth. From inside those cracks came faint sounds. Whispers layered upon whispers. Not words yet. Breath without mouths. Ilara pressed her palms to the ground. The mud felt warm and slick, vibrating faintly under her skin. She tried to push herself backward. Her arms trembled violently. The ground resisted, gripping her hands like soft clay. The wolf turned its head slowly toward the hollow. The red light spilled across its face, illuminating the shapes trapped beneath the stone surface. They shifted restlessly now, pressing harder. One face pushed so close that the stone thinned, turning almost translucent. Eyes rolled beneath it, wide and wet. A mouth opened in a silent scream. Ilara gagged, stomach twisting painfully. The voice returned, stronger, layered with many tones. Spoke of weight. It spoke of years pressing downward without release. It spoke of listening as a tether, fragile but sufficient until now. Ilara shook her head violently. Her hair clung damply to her face. Sweat streamed down her temples despite the winter air. She tried to scream again. Only a strained gasp escaped. The sound sank instantly into the hollow, swallowed whole. The ground responded with a deep, satisfied rumble. The wolf lifted its head and howled. The sound tore through the forest, not loud but vast. It vibrated inside her skull, shaking her teeth. Trees answered with cracking wood and falling bark. The mountain beyond the clearing groaned again, louder this time. Ilara felt the vibration surge up through her spine. Her vision blurred at the edges. The red light spread outward, seeping into the soil, crawling up trunks, tracing the veins of leaves. The forest glowed faintly now, alive with dull crimson lines. The hollow below exhaled. Massive breath. Hot air roared upward, lifting Ilara slightly off the ground. She slammed back down hard, knocking the breath from her lungs. Pain exploded through her ribs. Stars burst behind her eyes. She tasted blood. The wolf stepped forward again, closer to her than ever. Its claws sank deep into the earth beside her shoulders. Stone groaned under its own weight. The wolf lowered its head until its muzzle hovered over her chest. Heat poured from it, unbearable now. Her skin prickled sharply, nerves screaming. The voice spoke directly through the pressure in her chest. It told her that the opening required a keeper. It told her that doors never remained open without cost. Ilara thrashed weakly, legs sliding uselessly in the mud. Her fingers scraped against stone fragments, skin tearing. Pain flared bright and sharp. The wolf inhaled deeply. The second breath inside her lurched violently, trying to follow. She screamed silently as something pulled downward inside her. Her ribs felt as if they stretched from within. The hollow flared brighter, light surging upward like liquid fire. From within it rose shapes, not bodies, hunters, suggestions of limbs and faces forming and dissolving. They climbed the air slowly, drawn towards sound and warmth. Ilara felt their attention settle on her. Hundreds of unseen gazes pressed against her skin. Her heart hammered wildly. The wolf drew back slightly, watching. Its eyes burned steadily, unblinking. The column of red light narrowed suddenly, tightening like a clenched fist. The roar softened into a low, constant pressure that vibrated through Ilara's teeth. Her body slid another inch toward the hollow before stopping abruptly. Something held her. Not hands. Not roots. The air itself felt dense, resisting her movement. Her breath came in ragged pulls. Each inhale scraped her throat raw. The second breath inside her steadied, deep and slow, ignoring her panic. Felt patient. The wolf lowered its massive head, stone joints grinding softly. Its eyes remained fixed on her, burning with focused attention. The faces beneath its surface shifted again, settling into new positions. Some pressed backward, fading. Others moved closer, clearer, their features sharpening as if rewarded. Ilara's vision swam. The edges of the clearing warped, trees bending inward like warped reflections in dark water. Steam wrapped around her torso, warm and suffocating. Sweat soaked her clothes completely. Her skin prickled with alternating waves of heat and cold. The ground beneath her spine pulsed faintly, matching the rhythm of the red light. She felt every beat echo inside her chest. The voice returned, quieter now, layered but controlled. It spoke without urgency. It spoke as if explaining something inevitable. It told her the opening required direction. It told her sound alone invited chaos. It told her listening had shaped her into a vessel. Ilara clenched her teeth hard enough that her jaw ached. She shook her head weakly. Her hair clung to her face and neck, heavy with moisture. She tried to force her thoughts outward, away from the voice. Memories surged instead. Her first winter after her father vanished into the forest. Her mother sitting by the hearth, coughing into her sleeve. The silence that followed unanswered questions. The comfort she found in speaking to stone because stone never left. The wolf shifted its weight. Stone claws withdrew slightly from the earth, then pressed down again. The ground responded with a deep groan. Cracks spread outward from the hollow like veins. Red light followed them, threading through soil and rock. The shapes rising from below slowed. Kyan kuyuse lagta the kuwo surfike murat hai. Lekinaik sardi kisham. Jab jungle bilkul kamushta. Jab hawa anisans lina bichirdia. As pathar kubariani uska nam lia. Oras ikawazani surf murat keos indanahi kia. Balke parai jungle kuneche soy hui ike purani takat keo jagadia. Yekahani surf dar ki nahi. Yekahani hai is bot ki ku agare bandu bot karo. Tokia and hira a paki bot kajawab dita hai. They hovered, unstable, trembling as if waiting for instruction. Ilara felt their attention sharpen. It pressed against her thoughts, invasive and cold. Her heart raced painfully. The second breath inside her expanded, filling her lungs more fully than before. She gasped as it pushed outward, claiming space. Her chest lifted sharply. The pain dulled slightly, replaced by pressure. The voice spoke again, closer now. Told her to choose shape. It told her to guide sound. The wolf stepped back another pace, giving her space she did not want. Posture changed. No longer looming. Waiting. The forest stilled in response. Branches froze mid-sway. Steam thinned, hanging low. The red glow dimmed just enough to ease the pressure on her eyes. Ilara realized the trembling had stopped. Her body felt strangely heavy and anchored. She pushed herself up onto her elbows with effort. Pain shot through her arms and ribs, but she remained upright. The hollow waited beneath her, radiating heat steadily. The shapes hovered closer to its edge now, drawn upward but restrained. She swallowed slowly. Her throat burned. She spoke again. Her voice sounded wrong to her ears. Deeper. Layered faintly with another tone beneath it. The air responded immediately. The hovering shapes rippled, shifting form. Some collapsed inward, losing cohesion. Others sharpened, their outlines growing clearer. The hollow pulsed once in approval. The ground beneath her steadied. Ilara stared at her hands. They glowed faintly red, veins visible beneath her skin like thin threads of light. Heat radiated from her palms. She pressed one hand into the mud. Steam hissed upward instantly. The wolf watched closely, eyes unblinking. The faces beneath its stone surface stilled, listening. The voice spoke softly now, almost reverent. Told her sound shape passage. It told her intention mattered. Ilara's breath steadied despite herself. The second breath inside her aligned fully with her own. They moved together now. She felt a strange clarity settle over her thoughts. Fear remained, sharp and real, but it no longer paralyzed her. She looked into the hollow again. The heat did not feel hostile now. Felt expectant. The shapes drifted closer to her voice, responding subtly to shifts in tone. She spoke again, louder this time. The air vibrated strongly. Several shapes dissolved entirely, collapsing back into light and shadow. Others stabilized, forming clearer silhouettes. The hollow rumbled deeply. Approval. The wolf lifted its head slightly. Stone fur shifted and settled. The red glow within its cracks dimmed further. Ilara felt the forest relax around her. Trees eased back a fraction. Steam thinned more. The ground beneath her no longer pulled. She pushed herself to her knees slowly. Her legs shook violently, but they held. The voice filled her thoughts once more. It warned her that balance demanded constant sound. It warned her that silence invited collapse. She felt the weight of those words settle heavily inside her chest. The second breath pulsed in agreement. She realized then that it did not intend to leave. It had nested. The hollow beneath the clearing remained open, red light steady and controlled. The shapes hovered obediently now, restrained by her voice alone. The wolf turned its head toward the forest, listening to something distant. The mountain beyond groaned softly again, then stilled. Ilara remained kneeling at the edge of the opening, heat rising around her, voice trembling yet holding as the ancient mechanism beneath the forest adjusted to her presence, and the waiting silence pressed in from every direction, patient and watchful, ready to surge the moment her sound faltered. The silence thickened as if it had weight. It pressed against Ilara's ears until she felt it humming. Her voice echoed faintly in her chest long after she stopped speaking. The hollow did not close. It waited. The red light steadied into a slow, breathing glow that rose and fell with her lungs. Sweat cooled on her skin, sending shivers through her spine. Her knees ached where they rested on the warming ground. The mud beneath her palms hardened gradually, turning gritty and hot. She lifted her hands and saw faint red stains etched into her skin, lines tracing patterns she did not recognize. They pulsed gently, fading and brightening with her heartbeat. The wolf shifted again. Stone joints rolled with a sound like distant grinding glaciers. Its head turned toward her, slow and deliberate. Its eyes no longer burned. They watched. The faces beneath its surface rearranged, settling into stillness. Some sank deeper, blurring. Others remained close, their features calm and attentive. Ilara felt their presence like pressure against her thoughts. Not hostile, expectant. The forest exhaled collectively. Branches creaked as tension released. Snowmelt dripped steadily from leaves and bark, pattering softly onto stone and earth. Steam thinned into faint wisps that curled upward and vanished. The clearing felt larger now, stretched wider than before. The darkness beyond the trees pressed back but did not retreat. It watched from a respectful distance. Ilara pushed herself slowly to her feet. Her legs trembled violently. Pain flared in her calves and hips, sharp and deep. She swayed, arms lifting instinctively for balance. The air thickened again around her, steadying her body before she could fall. She froze at the sensation. The support felt intentional. She swallowed hard, throat burning. Her mouth tasted of iron and stone dust. She breathed carefully, testing the space inside her lungs. The second breath moved smoothly now, no longer fighting her rhythm. Felt settled, heavy, permanent. The voice did not speak. Its absence felt deliberate. Ilara took one cautious step away from the hollow. The ground remained solid. No pulling, no sliding. She took another step. The red glow dimmed slightly but did not vanish. The hollow held its shape, edges glowing softly. She stopped and looked back. Heat washed over her calves. The opening responded to her attention, light brightening a fraction. She felt a subtle tug inside her chest, urging her awareness downward. Not a command. Reminder. The wolf lowered its head again, posture shifting. It no longer blocked the path behind her. It no longer guarded the hollow. It stood beside it. A sentinel turned inward rather than outward. Ilara felt a strange pull of recognition. The wolf was not released. It was reassigned. Her heart pounded slower now, heavier with each beat. She tested her voice again. The sound emerged steady, resonant. The forest responded immediately. Leaves rustled. The hollow pulsed once. The shapes hovering above it shivered and resettled. She stopped speaking. Everything froze. The pressure returned instantly, subtle but insistent. Her chest tightened. The second breath deepened, urging sound forward. She spoke again quickly, softer. Relief washed through her body. The pressure eased. Understanding settled cold and clear in her mind. Silence was no longer neutral. It was dangerous. She shifted her weight, exhaustion seeping into her muscles. Her shoulders sagged. Her head throbbed with a dull ache. The night air felt warmer now, thick with moisture. Winter no longer owned the clearing. The wolf watched her closely as she paced slowly along the edge of the hollow. Its eyes tracked every movement. She felt assessed, measured, not judged. The faces beneath its stone surface followed her too. Their attention pressed lightly against her awareness. She felt their hunger contained, restrained by her continued sound. Her voice wavered as fatigue crept in. The red glow flickered in response. Her heart skipped painfully. She forced herself to speak louder. The glow stabilized. The hollow remained open. Sweat dripped from her chin onto the ground, hissing faintly. Her throat burned raw. She swallowed repeatedly, trying to soothe it. The effort felt insufficient. The second breath remained strong. It pushed her voice forward, supporting it. She wondered how long her body could endure this. The forest did not answer. The wolf stepped closer to her side. Its stone flank radiated warmth. The heat eased the ache in her ribs slightly. She leaned unconsciously toward it. The surface felt smoother than before, worn by time and touch. She placed her palm against it briefly. The stone vibrated gently beneath her hand. A steady rhythm, like a heart. The wolf lowered its head until its muzzle hovered near her shoulder. It did not touch her. Its presence felt protective, anchoring. The faces beneath its surface stilled completely. The red glow within its cracks dimmed further. Ilara continued speaking softly, words flowing without thought. She spoke of the village lights. She spoke of the cough by the hearth. She spoke of names she remembered and names she avoided. The hollow responded subtly to changes in tone. The shapes shifted, dissolving and reforming with each inflection. She felt control solidify slowly, painfully earned. The forest leaned in again, not aggressively, curious, listening. The darkness beyond the trees pulsed faintly, as if breathing. Ilara's legs shook harder. Her voice faltered. The pressure surged instantly, sharp and warning. She clenched her jaw and forced sound out again. Pain flared behind her eyes. Tears streamed down her face unchecked. The red glow stabilized once more. The hollow remained contained. Her shoulders slumped with relief. The wolf pressed closer, its warmth steady and reassuring. She understood then that rest would never come in silence again. Her voice was the tether, her breath the seal, her presence the hinge holding something vast at bay. The forest accepted this arrangement without ceremony. The mountain beyond settled into stillness. The shapes hovered obediently, restrained by her sound. Ilara stood trembling at the edge of the open earth, throat raw, lungs burning, voice shaking but unbroken. As the ancient system beneath the forest aligned fully around her continued speaking, and the waiting silence gathered patiently just beyond her words, ready to surge the instant her voice weakened enough to let it through. Her voice rasped as it scraped against the raw walls of her throat. Each word felt heavier than the last, as if sound itself gained weight once it left her mouth. The forest drank it in greedily. Leaves quivered, bark flexed. Even the air seemed to lean closer, thickening around her lips. Ilara shifted her stance, feet sinking slightly into warm earth. The ground no longer felt like ground, felt responsive, aware. Her calves trembled with fatigue, muscles burning from tension held too long. She rolled her shoulders slowly, trying to ease the ache, and felt heat ripple outward from her spine. The red lines beneath her skin brightened briefly in response. The hollow reacted instantly. Light surged upward in a narrow flare, then settled again. A warning. Her heart thudded painfully. She adjusted her breathing, forcing steadiness. The second breath inside her guided the rhythm now, deep and measured, leaving her little choice but to follow. She spoke again, softer but steady. The pressure eased. Relief spread through her chest like warm water. The wolf remained beside her, unmoving. Its stone body radiated constant heat, a steady presence against her shaking side. She became acutely aware of every sound. The slow drip of melted snow from branches. The faint hiss where water met hot soil. The deep, distant groan of stone far beneath the clearing. Each noise layered itself into her awareness, demanding acknowledgement. Listening felt mandatory now. Her thoughts tried to wander. They snapped back instantly, dragged by invisible hooks toward the hollow and the waiting shapes above it. Those shapes shifted again. They drew closer to the edge, stretching upward like smoke caught in slow wind. Their outlines sharpened whenever her voice grew firmer. They blurred whenever her tone faltered. Ilara felt their hunger brush against her mind. Not violent, desperate. She swallowed hard, throat screaming in protest. Her tongue felt thick and clumsy. Each syllable required effort, shaping sound through pain. Sweat ran down her back in steady streams, soaking into her clothes. The night air felt humid and heavy, pressing against her skin. Winter had retreated completely from the clearing. Beyond the trees, frost still clung stubbornly, glittering faintly in the dark. The boundary felt sharp and intentional. The wolf lifted its head slightly, ears angled forward. A low vibration passed through its body, almost a purr. Ilara felt it resonate through her ribs. Something deep beneath the forest answered. Slow shift. Settling. The red glow dimmed another fraction. The shapes above the hollow stabilized, hovering in a loose, obedient cluster. She realized she could sense them now. Not with sight. With something closer to touch. Each held a distinct pressure against her awareness. Some felt thin and brittle. Others felt dense and heavy like compressed stone. She recognized patterns among them. The heavier ones pulled more strongly at her voice. They required firmer sound. The thinner ones dissolved easily with gentle tones. Understanding formed slowly, painfully. This was not a single task. It was constant adjustment. Her voice cracked suddenly. Pain flared white-hot behind her eyes. The red glow flickered violently. The ground lurched beneath her feet. The shapes surged upward in response, outlines warping. Ilara gasped, panic clawing at her chest. She forced sound out again, raw and strained. Her voice came out broken but loud enough. The reaction halted. The glow stabilized. The ground steadied. Her knees buckled. She would have fallen if the air had not thickened again around her torso, holding her upright. The sensation sent a shiver of terror through her. She was no longer fully supported by her own body. She leaned heavily against the wolf, stone warmth pressing into her shoulder. Her cheek brushed its flank. The surface felt smoother now, almost polished. She closed her eyes briefly, though fear surged at the loss of sight. Even with her eyes shut, she sensed everything. The hollow, the shapes, the listening forest, the silence beyond her voice, coiled and patient. She opened her eyes again quickly. Darkness pressed in at the edges of the clearing, thick and watchful. Felt closer now, as if testing boundaries. Her voice continued, words flowing without structure. She spoke of memories. She spoke of warmth. She spoke of names spoken aloud so they would not disappear. The shapes responded, some drifting backward, others settling into place. The hollow pulsed slowly, content for now. The wolf shifted its stance, claws adjusting slightly. Stone scraped softly against earth. The sound carried weight. Authority. The forest responded by easing further back. Elara felt time stretching oddly. Moments blurred together, marked only by the strain in her throat and the constant need to maintain sound. Her mouth felt dry and cracked. Her lips burned. Her voice grew hoarse. The second breath inside her remained strong, unwavering. Did not tire. It carried her voice when her own strength faltered. The realization filled her with dread. Whatever had nested inside her did not share her limits. She wondered dimly what would happen when her body finally failed. The thought sent a spike of fear through her chest. The hollow flared in response. She quickly forced her thoughts back to the present, speaking louder, firmer. The reaction subsided. Her heart hammered violently. Control required constant attention. Even thinking about stopping carried risk. The wolf lowered its head closer to her ear. Its stone muzzle hovered inches away. A low vibration passed through it, resonating directly into her skull. Not words. Guidance. She adjusted her tone instinctively. The shapes responded instantly, settling more evenly. The hollow dimmed another fraction. Relief washed through her. Her knees trembled harder. Her muscles screamed in protest. She could not maintain this forever. Yet the forest offered no alternative. The silence beyond her voice pressed closer, testing, probing for weakness. Elara stood trembling at the heart of the clearing, voice ragged but holding, breath no longer entirely her own, body supported by stone and air and will alone, while the ancient forces beneath the forest waited with endless patience for the smallest fracture in her sound through which they could surge again. Dawn arrived without color. Light seeped into the forest slowly, thin and gray, as if afraid to intrude. The darkness did not flee. It loosened. The pressure around Elara softened for the first time since night fell. Her voice trembled, raw and broken, but it did not fail. The hollow beneath the clearing responded to the change. The red glow faded gradually, retreating downward like embers sinking into ash. The shapes hovering above it thinned. Some dissolved completely, unraveling into faint mist. Others drifted downward, sinking back into the depths from which they came. The heat eased. The ground cooled beneath her feet. Mud hardened into stone once more. The forest straightened. Trees lifted their branches. Roots stilled. The mountain beyond released a long, final groan and fell silent. Elara felt the second breath loosen inside her chest. Not gone. Quiet. Resting. She swallowed painfully and let her voice fade at last. The silence that followed did not surge. Held. Balanced. Contained. The hollow closed slowly, stone folding back into place with deep, careful sounds. The earth sealed itself, leaving only cracked rock and faint warmth behind. The red lines beneath her skin dimmed until they disappeared entirely. Her legs finally gave way. She sank to the ground, exhaustion crashing over her in a heavy wave. Her chest rose and fell unevenly, breath burning but hers again. The wolf stepped forward one last time. Stone joints shifted softly as it lowered its head toward her. Its eyes no longer burned. They reflected the pale morning sky. The faces beneath its surface faded deeper into the stone, their features smoothing, resting. The wolf returned to stillness. Statue once more. Ilara lay there as dawn spread through the trees. Birdsong hesitated at first, then returned in cautious notes. Cold crept back into the air, gentle and ordinary. Winter reclaimed the clearing. When she finally rose, her movements were slow and careful. Her throat ached, her body shook. Yet the forest no longer leaned toward her. It watched from a distance, satisfied. She looked once at the stone wolf. His mouth was closed now, silent, waiting. Ilara turned toward the village path as pale sunlight touched the snow. Each step away felt heavier than the last, yet allowed. Behind her, the forest held its breath no longer. It remembered her voice. It remembered the sound that kept the door closed. And deep beneath the roots and stone, something vast settled back into sleep, bound not by chains or carving, but by the knowledge that if it ever stirred again, someone would be listening. The forest leaned closer still, branches arching overhead until the clearing narrowed. Steam thickened, curling around her limbs. The air grew heavy and wet, hard to breathe. Ilara coughed, chest spasming. Each breath dragged painfully through her lungs. The second breath moved again, deeper now, slower, heavy with intent. The voice softened once more. It spoke of her words shaping stone. It spoke of her voice binding what had long waited. It spoke of her silence never returning. The ground beneath her spine split with a sharp crack. Heat surged upward, searing through her clothes. She screamed aloud this time, the sound ripping free. The hollow answered instantly. The shape surged higher, reacting. The red light flared blindingly bright. The wolf stepped back, giving space. The clearing expanded further, trees sliding aside with tortured creaks. Beyond them, darkness pressed inward, thick and watching. Ilara felt herself sliding toward the hollow inch by inch. Mud and water pulled at her legs. Roots brushed her skin, curling briefly before retreating. Her voice echoed strangely now, layered and distorted. She shouted again, desperate. The sound multiplied, folding into itself. The hollow pulsed in response, widening yet again. From deep below came a sound like stone breaking under immense pressure. Something shifted far beneath the forest floor. Something aligning. The wolf raised its head once more, posture rigid, reverent. The faces beneath its stone surface pressed hard, mouths opening wider. Their silent screams vibrated through the air. Ilara clawed at the ground, nails breaking. Tears streamed freely, burning hot against her skin. Her breath stuttered as the second breath inside her grew stronger, matching the rhythm of the hollow below. The voice filled her completely now, leaving no space for her own thoughts, as the red light surged upward in a towering column and the air roared with heat and sound, pulling her closer to the opening while deep beneath the forest something vast completed its slow awakening and began to rise toward the surface guided by the sound of her voice and the pounding of her heart.